Hi there, back with markets at noon, and let's understand a little bit more about the IT space, the kind of run-up that we've seen post-earnings. Yes, there have been some blips, but overall, even today, IT is the top sectoral gainer, about 2.5% uptick. Today itself for the Nifty IT, in fact, 3% now. So that run-up continues for IT. Let's understand where the sector is headed overall. We have Mr. D.D. Mishra, VP of Analyst at Gartner, joining us. Mr. Mishra, hi, good afternoon, and thanks so much for your time. You know, the kind of run-up that we've seen in IT, what is driving this confidence? Because Gartner too is projecting India IT spending to hit about $176.3 billion in 2026, which is an uptick of 10.6% year on year. If you could help us understand what are the underlying demand drivers and what is supporting this acceleration that you're expecting to see in IT?
Yeah, thank you for having me here, and good afternoon to all of you and all your viewers. So there are certain demand drivers which we have observed when we calculated this spending, IT sector spending in India. And we found that the uncertainty pause that started in first half of H25 is easing, paving the way for renewed confidence and fresh investment in 2026. So that is number one. The other demand drivers are, the Indian enterprises are expecting to ramp up IT budgets next year. And this growth is fueled by expanding adoption of cloud platforms and digital technologies. So that is also contributing to it. We have seen that significant increase in the data center investments in the past as well as in the current year as well. Positioning India for AI readiness and serving as a major catalyst for IT market growth. So that also is fueling that sort of a kind of a projection which you have seen. Now, CIOs are also prioritizing the cybersecurity, AI, ML, and data analytics, and that is also contributing factor in this particular growth. Evolving requirements for data privacy and sovereign cloud solutions will drive further investment, and that is what we are expecting. And we have seen that DPDP Act has been implemented, is getting implemented, and there are AI governance framework which is coming up, which is going to contribute significantly to this kind of a growth as well. And again, Indian enterprises are readying up for the AI-enabled kind of capabilities, which is again driving that sort of a requirement for a modern IT infrastructure that is contributing to the growth. So overall, if I look at, these are some of the contributing factors which is driving this growth in a positive direction.
So that's as far as IT sector growth is concerned. And Mr. Mishra, since we are talking about data centers and because investment in data center is only expected to rise going forward, any bottlenecks that you believe the industry is facing which need to be addressed in order to ensure that industry keeps growing over the next 4 to 5 years?
Yeah, so the bottlenecks can be there, and economic slowdown can drive down the growth, which we are seeing at this point in time. Availability of power is something which is going to which may become a kind of a bottleneck. Currency volatility and the geopolitical risks which are there, which can also drive down the growth. Talent shortage and kind of regulatory requirements, inflation and wage pressure, all these things can contribute negatively to this particular growth. And you can see them as a kind of a bottleneck at this point in time.
Okay, and Mr. Mishra, let's talk about the next big emerging theme. Other than AI right now, a lot of chatter is there around this entire data center operation topic. Now, with data center systems projected to grow roughly 20.5% in 2026, what bottlenecks do you see emerging, and can India sustain this kind of growth rate and this data center demand that we're seeing over the longer term? Because you're seeing a lot of real estate players, to name a segment, that's getting into data centers right now. How sustainable do you think this demand is?
So as of now, we are seeing, there are kind of bottlenecks which may come and it depends on the negative and how much the magnitude of these negative impacts can impact our overall growth, which we are seeing in the data center systems space. As I said earlier, that demand for energy is going to go up and it needs to keep pace with the growth. And that is number one thing which we need to make sure that that remains, there is no imbalance in that demand. Then, land availability, regulatory approvals, etc., can become a bottleneck. Network connectivity is something very, very important as we demand ultra low latency, high bandwidth connectivity. And we need to keep pace with the telecom rollout and the connectivity to address this. So that is, again, we need to keep a close eye on it. Workforce availability is something which can bother us, and there can be demand supply gaps as well as the requirement grows. So that is something we need to be careful about. Water is something very important when it comes to data center, and that needs to be kept pace with, that we have enough resources to support this particular growth. Economic volatility and investment concerns may become a kind of a bottleneck as well. And compliance and taxation related changes can also disrupt the overall growth in this particular sector. So these are a number of things which we need to keep pace with. But as of now, the risk of these happening is low, depending on the stability, political stability, which we have in our country at the moment, and also the kind of favorable conditions which is emerging out of it. Out of this, the only thing we have to keep an eye on the kind of conflict and situations which may arise that has a little bit of higher possibility, which may have a bearing on it. But other than that, the resource availability, from a power sector availability perspective, we are seeing that the push for the renewable energy is high, and these demands can be met as of now. So in near future, in next 2 to 3 years, we don't see much of a bigger problem, but the only thing is that all these requirements, all these bottlenecks needs to be closely observed, and there should not be any gap in terms of demand and supply.
Okay, so that's as far as demand and supply is concerned. But since you were telling us that demand outlook now continues to remain very positive and uncertainty perhaps is now fading as we head into the second half of the year. But region-wise, if you can tell us which regions are contributing to increased tech demand from Indian players, is US still a concern for India?
See, the services, if I look at a services perspective, the services sector in US is not going to grow fast. And there is a shift happening towards more, product-centric approaches. And the demand for software is growing. The US, in terms of, if I look at, the total IT spend, the US is going to grow faster. But if I look at from a services perspective, the US is going to grow slower than the rest of the region. And that actually identifies the kind of shift which is happening in this particular sector. Now, yes, the dependency on US is very high at this point in time. And Indian players need to be, shifting their gears and drive, creative destruction in terms of their business model at this point in time to be more successful. But I will keep my fingers crossed at this point in time, because as I keep saying that dream run is over and you have to constantly change yourself. Change will be the only constant for Indian players. And that is what is going to define the success or failure for most of them.
Okay, so that's the take coming in on the IT sector. Mr. Mishra, very interesting takes you have. And thanks so much for sharing your views with our viewers. On that note, we'll let you go.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Okay, viewers, with that, once again, time to slip into a very short break. On the other side, once again, we'll reconnect with analysts on the sidelines of the JM Financial Conference. So you stay tuned. We'll be right back.